From the St. Louis Public Radio newsroom, this is The Gateway. It's Thursday, December 5th. I'm Abby Larico. Farmers say implementing more sustainable practices means higher costs for themselves and for consumers. But with food prices already high, many people can't or won't pay more.
And so it's not that people don't care about sustainability, it's that it's not the most important thing to us.
We'll have that story coming up after this news on The Gateway. Former Missouri Congressman Billy Long is the pick to be the next commissioner of the IRS. President-elect Donald Trump announced the appointment Wednesday night, calling Long a, quote, consummate people person. The Republican former talk radio host and auctioneer represented Missouri in the House of Representatives from 2011 to 2023, leaving Congress for an unsuccessful run for U.S. Senate. He's been working as a business and tax advisor since, according to Trump's announcement. The Missouri Independent reports Long is known as one of the first elected officials to jump on the Trump train, a phrase he claims to have coined. Danny Werfel is the current IRS commissioner. His term doesn't expire until 2027, so the announcement means the Trump administration plans to fire him to make way for Long to take the job. The incoming St. Louis sheriff is planning to fire more than a dozen senior staffers from the law enforcement agency. St. Louis Public Radio's Brian Munoz reports that Alfred Montgomery delivered termination letters in the courthouse Wednesday.
At least 13 lieutenants, captains, majors, and colonels serving under Sheriff Vernon Betts will not be retained. Sheriff-elect Montgomery says he interviewed senior staff and decided to part ways with the majority of them on January 1st to best execute his agenda for the office. The incoming sheriff says there will be more terminations in the coming weeks.
I do want to see better from our sheriff's office, and if that's what it takes to clean up the office, to add different people and more people into that office, that's what I'm willing and ready to do.
Montgomery says those let go will be replaced by seasoned St. Louis area law enforcement veterans. I'm Brian Munoz, St. Louis Public Radio.
Abortions could be performed in Missouri as soon as tomorrow. That's if a Jackson County Circuit Court judge grants a temporary injunction blocking several state restrictions on abortion providers. The lawsuit was filed by Planned Parenthood in November, shortly after voters passed the Amendment 3 ballot measure and enshrined the right to an abortion in the state constitution. Planned Parenthood and the state attorney general's office are now awaiting a ruling on the injunction after a nearly 4-hour hearing Wednesday. Missouri Solicitor General Josh Devine says, though Amendment 3 makes certain abortion regulations unenforceable, he believes overturning the state's current rules would endanger women.
I think what they're saying is that there's just no health justification for any of this. And every time they've said that in the past, we've won in front of a variety of different judges, both in federal courts and state courts.
Devine and attorneys from Planned Parenthood say they expect a decision on the injunction sometime today. Missouri patients with Anthem health insurance will still be able to get in-network coverage at Mercy locations next year. St. Louis Public Radio's Sarah Fenton reports the two companies announced Wednesday that they had reached a coverage deal after months of uncertainty.
Mercy officials in September said they planned to stop accepting Anthem patients if the health insurer could not agree to a deal by January 1st. Under the new contract, Anthem customers who have plans through their employer, Medicare Advantage, or through the Affordable Care Act marketplace will maintain coverage at Mercy locations. Joe Battani is a health insurance broker at Arch Brokerage in St. Louis. He says patients have been worried.
There really was a lot of frustration and confusion and all for naught at this point. So people had to make decisions and really kind of think about how important their doctors were and how much they were willing to, bend on insurance.
Mercy officials had said dropping the health insurer could have affected 500,000 patients. I'm Sarah Fenton, St. Louis Public Radio.
A new report examines the health and environmental impact of a Metro East manufacturer on the surrounding community. As St. Louis Public Radio's Will Bauer details, the report found that SunCoke Energy's facility in Granite City could be responsible for up to 11 premature deaths in the area each year.
A Washington, D.C.-based climate advocacy nonprofit, Industrious Labs, produced the study using data reported to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. In Granite City, SunCoke Energy produces a coal-based fuel used in steelmaking called coke. When it's burned, it produces harmful chemicals. That's according to Industrious Labs Steel Director Hillary Lewis.
What this all adds up to is, some really clear numbers on how we can think about the health impacts of this facility and all facilities involved in coal-based steelmaking in the U.S.
The report also found SunCoke's facility could cause an estimated 3,300 asthma symptoms in residents and up to $161 million of healthcare costs locally every year. SunCoke did not respond to requests for comment. I'm Will Bauer, St. Louis Public Radio.
The Missouri State Board of Education is considering rolling back teaching requirements for subject areas including math and science. The current rule requires teachers to earn a grade point average of 3.0 or higher in the subject they want to teach. The board would change the required GPA to a 2.5. Daryl Friedley is the state's educator preparation coordinator. He says a third of the state's first-year teachers only have a substitute teacher certificate at most.
Any action that leads to a higher proportion of first-year teachers completing a comprehensive preparation program is actually a net gain for the overall quality of teachers that we put in front of Missouri's K-12 students.
The change won't affect teachers seeking certification in elementary, early childhood, or special education. A St. Louis University study finds about 6% of students across Missouri are now homeschooled. As St. Louis Public Radio's Hiba Ahmed reports, the research indicates the number has doubled since the coronavirus pandemic.
According to a study from SLU's Prime Center, about 61,000 school-age children across Missouri are homeschooled. That's nearly double the number of students that were homeschooled during the 2019-2020 school year. Colin Hitt is executive director of the Prime Center and co-author of the study.
So to put this number into perspective, 61,000 students is equal to the total number of public school students in St. Louis and Kansas City combined. One might think that this was a temporary bounce during and after the pandemic, but we're not seeing that at all.
Missouri is one of 29 states that does not track homeschooled students, so the study used both national and state student enrollment data instead. I'm Hiba Ahmed, St. Louis Public Radio.
Local entrepreneur, philanthropist, and statesman Sam Fox has died. The St. Louisan had served as the U.S. ambassador to Belgium during the George W. Bush administration. He made his fortune as the founder of the Harbor Group, becoming a major donor to the Republican Party and to Washington University, his alma mater. He and his wife established the Fox Family Foundation, which donates millions of dollars each year to charitable organizations in St. Louis and around the world. He was 95 years old.
Hi there, it's Marissa Ann Lewis-Thompson, your afternoon newscaster here at St. Louis Public Radio. Listener support is STLPR's largest source of revenue and makes podcasts like The Gateway possible. So show your support for regional news in the months to come by making a sustaining gift at stlpr.org, and thanks.
The price of food has been top of mind for a lot of people recently. It even became an issue in this year's presidential election. But as Jana Rose Schleis reports, some farmers say higher prices are essential to grow food that's good for the environment.
Liz Graysnack spends every Saturday morning at the Columbia Farmers Market.
It is 7 different types of baby mustard.
For 4 hours, she answers customers' questions and restocks tables under bright orange tents that advertise her business, Happy Hollow Farm. Graysnack sells the majority of her produce direct to consumers. Happy Hollow is organic, meaning Graysnack doesn't use synthetic chemicals and farms with an eye toward the environment, which ultimately raises her cost of production.
I charge what I charge so that I can pay my employees a living wage and so that I can afford to pay my electric bill. There's no extra.
For more small, environmentally sustainable farms like Happy Hollow to thrive, they need customers, a majority of whom don't necessarily want to pay a premium for veggies at a time when food prices are already high. Back at the farm, while tending to her chickens, Graysnack says she gets questions about food prices.
For whatever reason, people do not want to pay for food. When they go to the grocery store and they see that the price is 35 cents more, they don't want to pay it.
Joseph Balagtas is a Purdue University professor of agriculture economics and conducts a national survey of grocery shoppers. Each month, he asks customers what they prioritize when buying food: taste, nutrition, environmental impact, affordability, availability, or social responsibility. And each month, environmental impact falls behind taste, availability, and affordability.
And so it's not that people don't care about sustainability, it's that it's not the most important thing to us.
Balagtas has also surveyed consumers about regenerative agriculture and found that a majority support it, at least in principle. Consumers were significantly less likely to support regenerative agriculture if it meant food had to cost more.
When you start confronting consumers with the fact that it's going to cost something, right, support drops.
Getting customers to buy in to local, small-scale, environmentally sustainable farms and farmers on the front end of the process has long been the goal of community-supported agriculture, or CSA. Claire Stoner-Fessenfeld is the executive director of Fair Share CSA Coalition, a Wisconsin-based organization that's been assisting CSA farmers for 30 years.
You sign up at the beginning of the season and give a check to your farmer. So you're investing in the farm for the season, and then you kind of share in the bounty and the challenges of the farm.
That bounty is most commonly a weekly box of fruits, veggies, eggs, milk, or meat, a share of whatever the farmer produces. But consumers have grown more accustomed to convenience and choice, which ultimately hurts the direct-to-consumer model of a CSA. Additionally, Fessenfeld said, the upfront cost is a barrier.
The model in itself is intrinsically challenging to people who have more limited income. Paying up front at the beginning of the season, that's really tricky.
Fair Share CSA Coalition now provides cost assistance for low-income households who want to participate in community-supported agriculture. Liz Grasnack at Happy Hollow Farm cares about offering good-for-you and the environment food for her community.
Our life is all about community, isn't it? And people need to eat. And I want people to eat healthy food.
She believes the value of that matches its price. I'm Jana Rose Schleis.
That story comes to us from member station KBIA in Columbia. The Gateway is a production of St. Louis Public Radio, a listener-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis. Music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. I'm Abby Larico, and from the St. Louis Public Radio newsroom, this has been The Gateway.